Matt, the only reason we fly to social media to say the SEC is overrated is because we have to deal with people like you that make up narratives that if other teams played in the SEC, they would lose every game, plus you always play the hypothetical game, and now we're seeing what happens when the Big Ten and SEC play each other. Fair point, fair comment. Hold on, what? What is this? Hey, Matt, I just want to say happy 50th birthday. What? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great weekend. Hope all of you having a great Saturday night. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Man, oh man, we got to talk about the big, bad, and mighty SEC. I know we don't have college football games going on our Saturday, which is kind of weird, and it's going to be hard to get used to once the offseason is officially here. But don't worry, your boy Matt's going to try his best to make up for a lack of football. In one of yesterday's videos that I titled, We Need to Talk About the SEC, it's a 15-minute video. Feel free to check it out for yourself. But I asked you guys a real deal, serious, genuine question. When you are sitting up here saying the SEC, and I quote, is overrated, are you talking about this year, or are you talking about the past 10, 15, 20 years? That was a $1 million question in that video. I have not looked at the comment section. I've saved my reaction to the comments for this video right here, because I'm trying to get an understanding of what's going on. Because when you say the SEC is overrated, it is such a vague term. Are you talking about it in the postseason? Are you talking about this year? Are you talking about the past 2 weeks? Are you talking about the past 2 years, 20 years? And I go on and on and on. You see what I'm saying? The top, wait a minute. I thought we banned Dark Hydro. Doesn't this guy, he's already got like 6 strikes on the channel. How are you not banned? Anyways, I digress. Says Mark, not my name by the way, the SEC is cooked. Wait a minute, I'm looking at some of the replies to this comment. What do you mean he's Marty? Not my name either. All right, this one's got 200 likes. This is coming from Slush OV. We aren't talking about the last 2 decades. We're talking about since NIL and the transfer portal became what it is. It evens the playing field. It isn't a coincidence that the SEC isn't running through everybody anymore. Interesting. When did the transfer portal and NIL come into effect? Wasn't it 2018, 2019, something like that? Okay, I just looked it up. The transfer portal was made official in 2018, and the NIL started in 2021. So I really don't understand that whole logic, because in 2019, LSU, champion, 2020, Alabama, 2021, Georgia, 2022, Georgia again. And same thing since NIL. NIL was implemented in the summer of 2021. Who won the next 2 championships? Georgia. But not only that, since 2018 and 2021, if you got to ask me, who does football run through? It's the SEC. I'm not going to say I strongly disagree with this statement, because he also stated it evens the playing field, and yeah, you're 100% correct on that. Before the transfer portal, what all these SEC schools did, especially Alabama, is you just hoarded all the talent. Because once Nick Saban got a 5-star recruit, you didn't even have to worry about him leaving if he didn't play, because you'd have to sit down a year and nobody wanted to do that. Well, now that same 5-star recruit, if you don't play him, he's going to leave, and guess where he's going to go? To a smaller school like a, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, he may go to a Kentucky, well, now South Carolina is one of the top 25 teams in the SEC, or not SEC, the nation, my apologies. But he may go to, previously, a South Carolina. He may go to a Arizona State, a Boise State, teams like that. You can't hoard the talent anymore because it's evenly getting dispersed. Thank you for that comment. Let's move on to this one. This is from William Gary, and man, this is a long one. Holy schmoly, this is probably one of the longest comments I've ever seen. If this comment's a complete waste of time, I'm not going to throw it in the video, but if I am reading it off, just know I think it was worth being in the video. In an attempt to have a serious conversation about the points you made in your video, it's hard to argue that the SEC has had a great deal of success in the playoffs over the past 15 years. Are you trying to say it's hard to argue that they haven't? I think that's what you meant to say, because if you're trying to say the SEC hasn't had a lot of success in the playoffs, I don't know what you're talking about. Continuing along. But I think that the audience that is pushing back against the quote-unquote SEC is the greatest football conference are trying to make a few points. Number one, with the collapse of the Pac-12 redistributing teams among the Big 12 and Big 10, there are more teams adding depth to those conferences. That's a great point. 2, there has been a self-fulfilling hype machine starting that the SEC is the best. Therefore, those teams wind up with higher rankings, making it more likely that their teams wind up in the 4-team championship format. And that's another great point. With the change to a 12-team format, we are seeing more interconference games that give us a better chance to make comparisons than before. 3, NIL and the transfer portal are leading to a more even distribution of talent among teams, making it more difficult for a few SEC teams to hoard. Oh, wow. That is just like I said. Great point, to hoard the talent on their roster. 4. Some of these SEC teams that are being given credit to contributing to the quote-unquote strength of the SEC are living off of past performance and their brand names. Are teams like Florida, A&M, LSU, Arkansas, Tennessee, and South Carolina really that good? Or are they teams that people remember them as being good in the past while playing in a conference that pundits? Is that how you say it? I've never seen that word in my life. Talk about being good. 5. Lastly, I think that there is a great deal of exhaustion among the non-SEC college football audience listening to pundits. I've never seen that word in my life. And what in the world? I've never seen that word in my life either. Along with the SEC fans talk endlessly on cable sports news and sports radio about how good the SEC is without any real scrutiny being applied to those statements. ESPN is especially bad at this and is likely biased when making these statements because they have a vested financial interest in elevating the SEC football product since they carry those games. If ESPN said that the Big 10 or Big 12 had a comparable or better product, then they would be telling their audience that they should be watching games on other networks instead of ESPN. When you put all those things together, along with the fact that this YouTube channel promotes the snarkiest of hot takes instead of a measured and serious discourse, you shouldn't be surprised that you are being flooded with hot takes about the SEC sucks. Wow! What a lengthy comment and a great comment. I'm going to clap it up. Thank you to Mr. William Gary for taking time out of your day to write that. That is a very respectable comment. You know, it's not this one right here. No, the SEC is, I got to blur it out, crap. He said ASS. Because, and that's the thing, man. When you just go out here and say, oh, no, the SEC's crap. They're not that good. They're just terrible. That's when you sound stupid and I can't even continue to read the comment because you're not even being serious. It's one thing to say, I don't think the SEC is the best, which is fine. We can debate about that. But then when you say the SEC sucks, no, you sound stupid. You have no idea what you're talking about. The SEC having 6 of the top 7 ranked teams to start the year is a travesty. It shows that the lazy media has no idea how to evaluate rosters in the portal and NIL era. Things are different now. 15 days in 20 years should have no impact on how teams are ranked. Unless I am highly mistaken here, I believe you are talking about the preseason rankings, how SEC teams always get the benefit of the doubt. And, for example, if Alabama was good last year, it doesn't matter how bad the roster looks. Since it's Alabama, big name brand, they're going to be put inside the top 10, top 15, stuff like that. For those of you that don't know my stance on preseason rankings, I don't think I've explained it a lot on the channel. I know I have a few times. I don't value them at all, and I don't even come out with preseason rankings myself because I don't think we should. Preseason rankings are stupid to me because we know nothing about these teams. You're just going, oh, yeah, well, Alabama's been good the past 20 years, so we might as well stick them in at number 8, number 9, and that was fine with Nick Saban, but moving forward, absolutely not. However, with that being said, I do come out with my own rankings every single week on Twitter, and we do them every single Monday or Tuesday on the channel, and early on in the season, some of you probably noticed, my rankings change a lot. I'll have a team inside the top 5 after week 2, and if they look bad in week 3, I'll take them outside not just the top 5, but outside the top 10. And the reason teams have moved so much is because we don't know anything about them really, so we're finding out a bunch of different stuff every single week, early in the season. Quote-unquote SEC fatigue might be the stupidest term I've ever heard, which I said in the video. You know why people are sick of the SEC? They talk down on anyone who isn't in the SEC. They make outlandish claims such as saying Vanderbilt could win any other power conference. Maybe if any fan base in the South could win with grace and humility, they wouldn't catch strays from everyone else when they get humbled. I don't know what type of SEC fans you interact with, my friend, but I've never heard an SEC fan say Vanderbilt could win any other conference. I think you're exaggerating that. Everybody in the SEC actually sort of disowns Vandy, and they're a laughingstock. They're a joke. They're an embarrassment to the league. And I already know what people are going to say. Matt, oh yeah, they're an embarrassment to the league. They beat Alabama. Dude, I don't care. Everybody knows Vanderbilt. They're a joke. They are the nerds of the SEC. Nobody takes them serious. Secondly, I don't know if you meant to do this or you probably didn't even realize, you contradicted yourself. You stated SEC fatigue might be the stupidest term I've ever heard, then followed up that sentence by saying, you know why people are sick of the SEC? My friend, do you know what fatigue is? It means you're sick of something. When I say people have SEC fatigue, I'm referring to fans, the national media, people on ESPN propping them up. That's what you have fatigue of and what you're sick of. Matt, the only reason we fly to social media to say the SEC is overrated is because we have to deal with people like you that make up narratives that if other teams play in the SEC, they would lose every game. Plus, you always play the hypothetical game, and now we're seeing what happens when the Big Ten and SEC play each other. Fair point, fair comment. You have a Hawkeye as your profile picture. I assume you're an Iowa fan, and yeah, I give Iowa a hard time, and I've stated it multiple times. Iowa, if they were in the SEC, they go 6-6, 7-5 every single year in the SEC. But since they're in the sorry and sucky Big Ten, they're going to go 8-4, 9-3, 10-2 like they have in previous years. I'm not shying away from that. I still believe if I was in the SEC, they struggle to win 6 or 7 games per year. Is that a hypothetical? Absolutely, but that's my opinion. That's my stance on it, and I'm staying 10 toes down on that. Thank you for that comment, though. I greatly appreciate that. Moving on to this one, Mortius. Did this guy just call me Mortius? The SEC is finished. Thank you for that. Lamont said, SEC in all caps is little bro now. Really, Lamont? Well, here's my question. Who is Big Bro? Because the SEC has won 13 of the last 18 national championships. 13. So, please enlighten me, my friend. Who is Big Bro? I think the second best conference is the Big Ten. So, are you going to try to tell me the Big Ten is Big Bro? They have 2 championships in the past 20 years. 2. Matt's the type of guy to say SEC is the best conference because they have the most national championships, then say if the Big Ten wins the championship, the SEC is still better. Like, what is going on in Matt's brain? What are you talking about, buddy? I don't care if the Big Ten wins the national championship this year. The SEC is still better. You know how many championships that'll be for the Big Ten in 21 years? 3. You know how many the SEC has? 13. Hold on, what? What is this? Hey, Matt, I just want to say happy 50th birthday. What? Who are you talking to, Rhett? I know you're not talking to me. I ain't even halfway to 50. Matt be pushing 40 and bald. All right, bro. What the F is this? Great content as always. You're the only SEC homer I can tolerate. Thanks, I guess. I think this is the only YouTube channel and community where someone, and when I say someone, I mean the creator, me, can get a compliment and disrespected in the same sentence. Matt be pushing 40 and bald is crazy. Matt, the past 20 years means nothing. That college football is long gone now. Now we have an even playing field, and you just need to accept that the SEC isn't as good as it used to be. All right, we're going to go with one more comment. Matt, SEC dominance is over. The Big Ten is simply better this year. With Saban's retirement and NIL, the SEC won't be as dominant again. Also, was it really SEC dominance or was it Alabama dominance because they had the greatest head coach ever and just happened to be in the SEC? Great question. I'd love to answer it. Nick Saban at Alabama from 2009 up until he retired won 6 national championships. So yeah, I mean, most certainly a main reason for the SEC's quote-unquote dominance was because of Alabama. It's as simple as that. However, Florida, they won a couple national championships. LSU, they won a couple. Auburn, they won that one. And most recently, Georgia, they won those 2. And actually, if you want to get technical about this, you could bring up this argument. Alabama's dominance prevented other SEC teams from winning national championships. I'm going to remind you, 2 of Alabama's national championship victories came over SEC teams, LSU and Georgia. Wait a minute, I just peeped this. Your username is MattBDiddy02. Come on, man, what are we doing? I'm going to let that slide, but long story short for me, my stance on this is the same thing I said yesterday. This year, yes, the SEC, severely overrated. Past 20 years, heck to the no. Many more things I could say. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below about that.